The topic for this video is how shameless and problematic Nigeria is at this point. I first of all know you would want me to mind my business and talk about my own country, Ghana. But listen, I don't really care about what you think. And if you haven't checked in my videos, I talk more about my country than any other on this platform. But at this point, it's not just silly and problematic how miserable Nigeria is. It's becoming for all of West Africa. And if you feel agitated already for my choice of words, wait and hear the rest of all I have to say. Let's get into it. Nigeria's population is a national security threat to every neighboring and West African country. As of March this year, Nigeria's population is more than half the total population of West African countries. More than half. This means on any given day, the influx of Nigerian citizens to any West African country will easily swallow up the entire local population. This is why every country in West Africa needs to have a say in what goes on in Nigeria, on the backdrop of the fact that they like to travel, ladies and gentlemen. They like to move, and they are moving in numbers. Now, ladies and gentlemen, two major situations are making Nigeria look scary to the rest of Africa, especially the neighboring West African countries. And I said two major things. But first, let's put aside the lack of stable electricity and inflation for now. Those are regular problems everywhere that every country in Africa has to deal with. However, the two worrisome situations brewing in Nigeria, which threatens the sovereignty of other African countries, has to do with the religious extremism and poverty. Ladies and gentlemen, I need you to again hold back on the insults for now, and also put down your biased glasses and hear me out for a minute before you come in. Are you aware of the number of Islamist jihadist groups operational in Nigeria as of 2025? Let me give you the list, ladies and gentlemen. It started in the year 2000 with Boko Haram, whose aim is to establish an Islamic state in Nigeria. Then the first splinter group from Boko Haram, called Ansaru, was formed in 2012. After Ansaru came the next splinter group called Islamic State West Africa Province, aka ISWAP, which started in 2016. Darul Salam also came in from the Niger Delta, and then the multiple Fulani militant groups came in. Just when we thought these groups were too many to handle for one country, then we hear of a group originally from Mali and also operational in Niger moving in to Nigeria. They are called Lakurawa. The situation appears to get worse by the days, from one bad jihadist group to a worse group. Ladies and gentlemen, is Nigeria becoming, or already become, the main breeding ground for all terrorist groups in Africa? What's going on here? When other countries are thinking of ways to create conducive environment to entice foreign investment, Nigeria is rather enticing terror. Let me ask you this. What conditions are making the northern part of Nigeria so enticing to these groups in the first place? Because this is where almost all of them are situated. Every day I read the news in Nigeria, I get terrified. Every time. Because the spillover of these groups will directly enter all the nearby countries. These are countries in West Africa. This may include the splinter groups moving to other countries, or the citizens of Nigeria abandoning their own homeland for another. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a serious issue that needs immediate continental concern. Nigeria is a friend of Ghana. Nigeria is a part of ECOWAS. When they are moving into your country, we cannot turn them away. But when 1 million moves in at one time, what then becomes the fate of the host nation's security, sovereignty, and economy? And this can happen on any given day, ladies and gentlemen. And what actually terrifies me is this. I don't see any real political actions or steps taken by the leadership of the country to deal with the situation. You don't hear of the presidency talk about strategies. You don't hear of governors talk plans, and senators the same. Where are the marches, ladies and gentlemen, and the demonstrations on the streets to force the hand of the government to face it head on? Where are they? It's like the fate of the people in this country is in individuals' hands. Those with the resources may hire armed officers for their personal security, and those who don't have to live carefully and away from certain hotspots. Ladies and gentlemen, is this the best Nigeria can do in their own country? Day in, day out, all we hear is kidnapping, robbery on buses and even on trains, village killings and so on. Is this ever going to change in Nigeria in the nearest possible time? Nigeria currently ranks 10 on every type of crime list in the world. Talk about cybercrime, organized crime, financial crimes, and extremism. You will find them on the top 10 list of all of them. What type of society are you building? On the criminality index on ocindex.net, you are 6th out of 193 countries, 2nd out of African countries, and number 1 in West Africa. You are ranked 19th among the least peaceful countries in the world, and nothing shows it bothers you, especially they that hold power in the country. Omanaja, what's up? When you finally get the chance to vote for a president who may bring a difference to the country, you reject it. You vote the same type of leadership in every election, and the problems continues. Why won't you try change? Why can't the people try what Ghana did? You come out in your numbers. You create your own coalition centers. You protect the ballot boxes at all costs and ensure a free and fair elections for once in your lifetime. Because if you as a regular Nigerian don't like what's going on in your home country, you have to do something about it, ladies and gentlemen. That cannot be done by anyone else but yourselves, unless it benefits you. What's the ultimate goal here? When you have chosen democracy as your system of governance and it's only making life a living hell for the majority of the people, what is the plan, ladies and gentlemen? This is disturbing. Now, on to the second situation that is of equal concern as the first. This is about the level of poverty in Nigeria. You have more than 40% of your total population living below the global poverty line of $2.15 per day. That's more than 100 million people, ladies and gentlemen. That's a national security crisis. To have more than 100 million people who don't spend up to 3,300 naira in a day is problematic for the state's economy and for the people themselves. And here is how. The 3,300 naira per day will include your transport fare in and out to work if you have one, or to school, your breakfast, your lunch, your supper for one person. And so when that's not possible for more than 100 million people, then there isn't much these 100 million people are doing to contribute to the economy of the local state. People must work, produce, buy, pay taxes, and all of that, which runs the local economy. And that explains why countries whose citizens spend more do better than countries which citizens spend less. This is economic fact. Economic activities thrives off of demand and supply, buying and selling. And so when purchasing power drops, supply power is affected. Ladies and gentlemen, in addition to that is the low rate at which Nigeria's economy is growing. With the kind of population you have and expected to have in the next 10 years, your economy cannot survive on a single-digit economic growth in a fiscal year. Currently in Nigeria, your country is growing on an average rate of 3.4%. 3.4%. That's super slow for your size. You need to move that thing to more than 10% per annum and sustain it over a decade to meet the surge ahead. Your country's population is projected to hit 290 million in the next 10 years, and that's adding at least 50 million more people to what you have now. So the pace you are running will have to change immediately. From 2020 to 2023, the average unemployment rate was over 39% of the capable workforce until last year, when the new administration by Tinubu had to revise the method for calculating to reduce it to now 5.3%. Whether that is accurate or not, the reality of the people hasn't changed, and that's a huge problem. Ghana and every other country for that matter have our own problems to deal with, but at least not with the numbers Nigeria comes with. The very fact that these two situations I've just described has a direct impact on all neighboring countries is what has triggered me to do this video, because the rise and success of Nigeria is in the interest of all African countries. In the same way, the fall and demise of Nigeria is detrimental to all African countries, ladies and gentlemen. Therefore, whether it offends your pride as a successful Nigerian who doesn't like your country being talked about in a negative light or not, that's not only up to them or you to determine what others may say, because once there is a problem in your country, everyone will feel the impact. Just like it said, when Nigeria sneezes, every African country catches cold. Folks, I want to read your opinion on this matter without insult. So let's hear from you. And
that is why the young man, Burkina Faso president, discovered and said, this young man, president of France, Macron or something else, why is he so interested in our country? Why is he so eager? It is because of our resources. It's because of our riches. Now, he has been using the resources to rebuild the country that other past government has looted with their selfish interests in rebuilding. Go to Burkina Faso now. The price of fuel cannot change in Burkina Faso. Nothing change. The price is like that. If they want to take up light in that Burkina Faso, it will be announced to the whole country that the light is about to take in just 5 minutes, we bring it back. They will announce and tell the listen. Since I was born, I'll be shouting, that thing they pay me up Nepa. A world where we cannot live forever. We have all the resources. Every time you will be hearing announcement of 900 trillion was spent on one project. 200 trillion was spent on one project. Which project? There's a 3 projects that Nigeria needed for them to be developed. 3 projects. First is light. Second one is security. The third one is a good road to all the states, to all the cities. And the investors will come. All this thing where they use gen everywhere. People, you'll be hearing a lot of nonsense sound in all the streets. In a one compound, you will see something like 20 gen. This one be sounding, this one be sounding, this one be sounding, this one be sounding, catch.
Traore is a fraud, by using the mineral resources, the gold in Burkina Faso to secure his life and his family. What is your take as regards the US government and even the Western world trying to assassinate, make several attempts to assassinate Ibrahim Traore?
You see, Ibrahim Traore, the current leader of Burkina Faso. If you watch, that young man entered there with a uniform as a military man. And if you watch him for one day, I haven't seen him going on with this don't be stealing civilian attires, call themselves Democrats. and watch his progress. Tell me any democratic country in Africa that have developed for this little space. Traore was there from 2022 to 2025. Now, 2025 haven't ended. But see how he transformed Burkina Faso, transforming it overnight. Look at the roads he built. Look at the agricultural sector. Look at the tractors. Look at how do you know that Burkina Faso is one of the strongest army now in Africa? Look at how he equipped his army. And look at how God is flushing the saboteurs among the military. West will use them to plot coup. They will fail. They will round it up. Why is it this like this? Because West see how it's going, that if you control like that, in the 10-15 years, you will open the eyes of young military officers in Africa to do what? To overthrow these old cargoes and establish a new government that will make Africa to develop, mostly West Africa. Look at it now. Every country in West Africa are hailing Traore. If not the whole Africa, every country in West Africa are hailing Traore. France will come, mine their uranium, take it to their place, and give themselves light. When the people you mine that uranium in their place don't have light, even for 8 hours in a day, they don't have light. And then when you mine it finish, you give them peanuts, and you use them in the labor of that work. You use them in the labor of that work, where machinery cannot be able to do. If that machinery, they are going to still operating that machine for you. Then you could not call them slave. You could not call them undeveloped or underdeveloped country. You still calling them your colony. When you say they have their independence, one already have come to prove that really they have independence. Western world, America, France, they are crying. What have you done to America? America said they want to come and take him. That American general, see him, look at him, black man with the black sense. When America want to, or Western world, colonial masters want to cause any confusion in any black nation, they use a black man as a tool. Now that man, American general, they're using you as a tool against your fellow black, against the black country that is rising up to be a shining star, to show others what is good of the goodness of good governance. Then he say he's using Burkina Faso gold to protect himself and his family. Can you remind me the name of that general? That black US general. I want to ask that man, is Traore using the gold of US to protect himself and his family? Tell me the crime Traore cause. Do Traore use that gold to build protection, wear it on the body? Because Traore said, America, leave the gold. Let us dig our gold, refine our gold. They are refining gold now in Burkina Faso. Not taking, when the dig finish, you take it to America. America refine and take the surplus and give you peanut. Like Britain was controlling Ghana gold in the days gone by, in that 60s to 70s to 80s. I don't know whether it's working now. The problem Traore is having, what they see the Traore is their fear between Nnamdi Kanu and Sam Onekpa. That if these people come out, they may work hardly than Traore. This is what they don't want Biafra to be. Sam Onekpa have been in Finland, have been in Finland politics, he have been in Finland government, he was once a colonel, he have a experience of development. He's an international lawyer, he have experience of how to, because Finland, Sam Onekpa said that he will bring Finland government into Biafra land. Not that he go and carry Finland president or their National Assembly to Biafra. He will use the same ideology he have seen in Finland, They used to develop Finland, take it to develop Biafra. This is why they don't want him to be so. Nnamdi Kanu have been in Britain. He's a Britain citizen, as they claim. But I don't see them being a citizen of any country. Because if they are citizens, the country they are citizens so will not be treating them as they treat them now. And they're not that Nnamdi Kanu is wise. Therefore, they don't want him to be there. This is why they frustrate Ojukwu not to be able to get Biafra at the first declaration. Because they feel that the Igbos are wise, that the Igbos are the black Jews, that before you do something, one or two, Igbos have captured what you are doing. Like during the Biafra war, Igbos manufacture Ogbunigwe. They manufacture flying rockets. Ogbunigwe is just a explosive that can kill 300, 400, 1 million people at a time. But it's not Tusky. It's not nuclear. Yes, it's not Tusky. But when it's spread here, every grass, every building will come down. That is in the close range. And if you are in a clean range, there's no way we touch you cannot die. But if you are outside the clean range, when it touch you, it gives you a serious wound. So they manufacture their own Ogbunigwe, manufacture their own AK-47, manufacture so many things, shock battery that they take to sink Nigerian ships. They manufacture everything. And this is why Britain was able to convince Russia or Soviet Union to join them. Because they said these people, under 6 months they fought war, they were able to develop weapons like this. Which means Russia, if these people get their independence, they will knock you out from the business. Because Russia was, at that time, their main export was arms. So these people will knock you off from the business. Then Soviet Union and Russia, Soviet Union, join Britain to bring Nigeria, to bring Biafra down. The same thing is happening to Traore. But let me tell you, watch it. Every president in Africa that wants Africa to stand and be a very strong continent and be self-reliance, not relying on the NGO from their colonial matritas, that person will die. Look at Olympian I think Sylvester Olympian of Togo, because he rejects France Francia, the toilet paper they print to give Africa as money. He rejected it, and he was allied to America. America leave him until they kill him. Look at Patrick Lumumba. Because Patrick Lumumba reject the West system of that so-called democracy. Want to ally with Russia. They kill him. Use Mobutu to kill him. Look at Kabila. Lieutenant Kabila, the father of Joseph Kabila. They used to remove Mobutu. When they discover they cannot control Kabila, they assassinate him, remove him. Look at Kwame Nkrumah. They assassinate Kwame Nkrumah because they're calling for one African general. They assassinate him and remove him. Look at Gaddafi of yesterday. They remove him. Thomas Sankara, they remove him. Anybody who come to say Africa should stand on their own, they remove that one. But Traore, let me give it to you as a spy or as a secret. If they done all they could do and they cannot remove you, they will use United Nations, one stupid United Nations resolution that will empower the West and America to come and fight you. As they did to Gaddafi. As they did to Gaddafi. They will say, the United Nations give them this sort of resolution. They come to Libya and murder Libya and tell the murder Gaddafi and tell the Libyans that Gaddafi hold you in ransom, Gaddafi hold you in bondage, Gaddafi did this, Gaddafi did that. After the death of Gaddafi, is Libya good? Is Libya good? Now that Gaddafi is dead, and the time where Gaddafi was alive, tell the time where Gaddafi is good. Africans rise up. Africans, it's time we rise up. Let us put religion aside. Traore was a Muslim, but he's doing good thing. Thomas Sankara was a Christian. He was doing good thing before they assassinated him. Africa, let us put religion. Both Islam and Christianity, we are borrowed language. We are borrowed religion to Africa, mostly Black Africa. Let us rise up and defend ourselves, defend our brother. Any person is in power that do good things to Africa, let us defend that thing. May God bless every one of us in Jesus' name. All our fans all over the world. May God bless every one of you. Both the one that love me and the one that hate me. And may God keep all of us alive in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.